Have you seen it? Have you seen it? Movie chat. I'm having my sons do some Marvel movies with me. I'm doing some 80s movies, some 90s movies. I got this movie and it's hella badass. I want to talk about it. It takes place in LA. I think it's 1969 or some shit. It's filmed in 1980 though. It's filmed in old school LA Hollywood. Oh man, when I watch this movie, dude, all my family, all my family knows the quotes from it. So we be throwing quotes out from this movie, and it is the funniest, man, because you can relate these quotes to anything during the day. You know how you do that? Or you just throw movie quotes into something, and it just matches. This movie quote with my uncles and my brothers, it matches most of the life that we had. Still have, because I still say it to this day. And these quotes in this movie and its direction and the characters. It's a little raunchy, but it's a classic film. 1980. Hollywood Nights, starring Michelle Pfeiffer and Tony Danza. Tony Danza. Michelle Pfeiffer and Tony Danza. Hollywood Nights. Look at those clouds. They're in like the boobies or something. Oh, it's weird. It's what tight. It's tight. Hollywood Nights. Tony Danza. Tony Danza and Michelle Pfeiffer. I think this is Michelle Pfeiffer's first movie, and I think it might be Tony Danza's first movie too. You know what? Tony Danza didn't really have a huge film career. He had a good film career, but it wasn't that huge. But the one show that I do remember, and if you remember the sitcoms from the 80s, early 90s, I mean it's 80s, you're gonna remember Who's the Boss. You are gonna remember Who's the Boss. You're gonna remember because it had chick I had a crush on for my whole life when I was younger. I remember Who's the Boss because it had Tony's daughter, Alyssa Milano, Ava Save-A-Lot. Man, Alyssa Milano in that show, when she started, she went from this young girl to this pretty ass teenage, and that's like me and my friends when we were younger. That's who we called. Well, if we didn't call Kelly Bundy, you know what I'm saying? I don't know why, but I had this aspect because when I was younger, any woman that was beautiful was, Mexican, black. But when you see Alyssa Milano, and then it's just like, I don't know what it was. Shoot, I'm sorry. Shoot, man. They just had this thing. And she was on TV all the time, so you just fall in love with her. Punky Brewster. Punky's tight, man. I talked to Punky before. We spoke before. She's cool. I know she had a bad back and she had to get some type of breast reduction or something because her breasts were just huge. That's all. I can remember. I remember all these things like that. I'm sorry. Lisa. What's her name? She has a badass name. I'm sorry for forgetting it, but Punky Brewster, badass. Punky Brewster. Man, I'm getting off on a good tangent because I just went from Who's the Boss to Punky Brewster. I'm just talking about because when you watch this, I'm not also giving you the feel of the movie. I'm giving you my attitude and what this genre that could people that that know me and know what I like and they like the same thing because we're all just the same person and we like all kinds of stuff to get together. I'm just saying that I enjoyed this movie because it had Tony Danza in it. I don't want to get off that Alyssa Milano tangent, but I should because man, she was a bomb when I was younger. I was so in love with her. In her fan club, my buddy Damien was in her fan club too. A bunch of my friends. You write a Alyssa Milano when you're younger. No joke. This is before texting and all that email shit. This is like back in the day. Alyssa Milano would write you a note back saying, "Thank you for being in my club," and send you a poster of her. And she was badass. So you're in love with Melissa Milano. Tony Danza. Tony Danza. Sorry. Ooh, 5 minutes. Tony Danza is in Hollywood, and he's a part of this. It's a social club. It's just these guys are these like are the first Jackass. This is where Jackass gets it. You know what I mean? Because people really do pull pranks. They pull pranks, and they hardly back in the '70s they couldn't film this shit. They couldn't film this stuff. Back in the '80s, you got to get a camera and film it. But what's your audience? You really can't broadcast to now that you got the internet, you can show everybody. But those guys who pulled off those Jackass stunts, man, it's before Jackass, bro. This is like when Tony Danzig was Johnny Knoxville, but for real, better. Tony's Danzig. I remember Tony Danzig too. I mean, and man, that show, Who's the Boss was the sheet. I remember it was tight because Tony, he was all broke, coming from Brooklyn, getting to go to a badass house. He was the maid. He made the meals, cleaned the house, and then Angela, she was in like what was she in? I think she was in advertising, and she had this big ass firm or company, and she was always having deadlines and stuff like that. And Tony's just pulling through doing what he had to do. And Jonathan was Angela's son, and Tony had to take care of her, and Tony had to take care of Jonathan. Jonathan's getting bullied, and all this stuff's happening. Tony's teaching them all, yo, you gotta be like, he's bringing in the street. It's a street side. Tell type. Old school. Somebody should redo the Who's the Boss. Right there. See, I just gave Netflix a whole new season. I gave Netflix 3 seasons, man. Who could it be? I ain't gonna tell you who I thought it was gonna be. I knew who's the boss. Because then you guys would be like, damn, this dude knows he knows his flicks. Have you seen it? Let's get into it. So Tony Danza. Damn, we got a tangent for 7 minutes. Tony Danza, Danza. He's this dude. He's in this club, social club. They're the first Jackass. They do all these pranks. People, call the cops because that's they do. And they're called the Hollywood Knights. And they're actually the Hollywood Knights. That's what they got written on their stuff. But it's all about the Hollywood Knights. You know what I'm saying? Because in Hollywood Knights, that's what they prank. That's what they roll the badass whips. That's where you see the chicks. You go down to Tubby's. You go down to Tubby's and you can park your badass whip and you get a burger, you get a fry, you get a milkshake. You'll see some honeys. You'll see the breezes walking. You'll see them. You'll be like, dang, this is what you do on a Saturday, Friday, I mean, probably even Sunday too. That's how they do the weekends down in LA, down in Hollywood at this thing, Tubby's. And then down the street too, they got the DJ. Actually, he's not in the streets. I think he's in Compton. Back in the day, they had the DJ and he would chill in the building and he'd look out the window and his life was going on. So he'd just tell you what's going on. Someone should do that besides the news. Just give you what's going on and music outside. But anyway, so why am I getting? Shoot, I'm doing too many tangents. Okay, I'm sorry. I want to get off the movie subjects. So Tony Danza is part of this group. What he's doing is he's like growing up. So this group, he's leaving this group behind, and it's a social. It's just you pledge to this place, be one of the nights. You got to do one of the ridiculous. Um, it's some kind of task you do. You know what I'm saying? A ritual. You got to do it, and if you pass what they tell you to do, you know what I'm saying, initiation, then you become a knight. So they got these guys, and they want to be knights. So they're saying, okay, what you got to do is you gotta go butt naked. We're gonna drop you in the middle of nowhere, but you gotta go butt naked down to Compton and get on the radio and do a hit out for Tubbies because what they're doing right now is these people in the community, they're like snobby. They want to get rid of Tubbies. Tubbies is that driving I was telling you about. They all park a car, you go to Tubby's, you got a burger, get out. So you see the honeys, you see everything, you see the cars. Tubby's is getting it's they say it's just it's what's lacking in the community. It's just bad place. People they don't want the people, they don't want the riffraff, they don't want the kids coming, parking the cars. So they're saying, let's get rid of Tubby's. Tubby's is going down. So the committee got together and they're gonna bulldoze Tubby's in the morning. They're gonna get rid of Tubby's. Everybody's getting fired. The bosses, I worked this place for 20 years, you know what I'm saying? So everything Tubby's is going down, and Tubby's is where the Hollywood Knights kick it. The group. The kick it. The kick it is Tubby's. Hollywood Nights go there. Tubby's is getting destroyed in the morning. Fran Dresser's this hot ass high school chick. Or she's there in high school. She's Fran Dresser back in the day, beautiful lady, and she looked like a bad lady. She always looked like a bad back in the day. She when she had that before she started getting that, you know what I mean. She had this look about her where she could be like the bad girl James Bond all the time because she had those long legs and but she talks like this all the time. I give my sister a hell of all the time when I call my sister. I say, "This is Margaret." My sister be like, "Dang, you better quit," because she always hangs up or she thinks it's Margaret. For real, it's weird. My sister be thinking Margaret. So Tubby's got all the riffraff going through the organization in town in the Hollywood Hills. They don't want Tubby's no more, so they're gonna get rid of it. They're gonna open up some shopping mall or something. People go there. These two cops are assigned. And these two cops are the classic cop, man. Skinny cop, fat cop, and they're classic. The guy who's the main cop, his name is Bilbo, and he's the cop. And he goes and he busts up the Hollywood Knights. He does all the little pranks. He catches them. He kicks their asses. He does stuff to them. But they throw eggs at him and they call him names and they pull pranks on him. So Bilbo's sitting there, and they always tag his car, throw an egg at him. Bilbo is like trying to find the Hollywood Knights because this night is the last night Tubbs is gonna be around. So they didn't want the town. The sergeant said, "Yo, what we want you to do is we want you to make sure that Tubby's is cool all night long. This thing goes off without a hitch. We're not gonna have no type of things going on. No people hot riding and stuff. We want you to clean the town up, and we want Tubby's gone in the morning. So make sure those Hollywood Knights don't do nothing crazy." And Bill was like, "Yes, sir." So he's like, "Come on, bro." And he got this little bro, he's like a little skinny dude. And he's always paints a mustache on him because he loves Tijuana Taxi to meet me. And they go bust up the Hollywood Nights. They find out what they're doing because they're doing little pranks. But in the meantime, Tony Danza's sitting there with his buddy Jimmy. And Jimmy's about to go to Vietnam. So it has to take place in the 60s. Filmed in the 80s. It's about the era of the 60s Hollywood. All this stuff is going on. This movie is made up to have all this pulp in it, all these things coming at you with certain things, certain people's the characters and what's going on in their lives. Tony Danza, what's up? What's up?
I'm Baker just got done finished packing and he wants to see if he can come pick me up tomorrow.
What time?
He said whenever.